A Mirage of Grandeur is the debut full-length album from Denmark-based death metal band Elitist. And this is a group that formed more recently, as far as I understand. It is made up of members of grindcore acts and avant-garde or technical death metal groups they've kind of brought a technical and grinding death metal style to the Gorguts influenced arena of weirding progressive death metal. I know that's a lot to kind of pull from one record that's about half an hour long, but if you're a fan of hissing and Puron and you know generally ulcerates maybe earlier, more succinct works, there's a lot to like about this record, even though it gets a little bit more weird than some of those in terms of noisome, abrasive, and abrupt interruptions throughout. Very thoughtful, very detailed record that is kind of a bit of a ride to get through. So we'll cut to a track here to get a sense of the ride itself. There is a sort of immolation-esque rhythm that is tanking throughout this album that is not exactly a trait of Gorguts style music. And if you listen to a band like Discord, the Norwegian group, you'll get what I mean. The propulsion is there, and the movement is there in an erratic sense. But there is an anchor in the bass guitar's work that really drives home a lot of the rhythmic intensity of it. You'll find some of that in some Anata records as well, but here the bass guitar is the anchor for a lot of these rhythms beyond the drums themselves, and I find that it really gives a little bit of a backbone for them to vaunt off of otherwise, because this is a kind of a wild showing of skill and a little bit of a scatterbrained showing in terms of presenting chaos and aggression at the same time. It is fundamentally a death metal record, but you can hear there's a little bit of muscle memory for mathcore and technical grindcore of a certain era, and if you like the sort of manic and crazed feeling of a certain like kind of mid 2000s era of that kind of thing. You'll also find that in certain groups like Ad Nauseum, but here it's a little bit more pronounced. You can kind of hear some of their background showing up on this record because there's a lot of riffs, there's a lot of minute by minute changes that are become more profound as you dig through and pay more attention. It's a quick rush through, though. I don't have that much to say about it. I think it's a very strong debut. I think there's a lot of personality here. There's a great theme here and a lot of strong art direction. So it is such a professional debut and a very thoughtful and intense and kind of brutal as well debut that it stood out to me right away. I think that they have such an idea and such a sense of passionate attack to this record that it didn't really matter that it was fairly short. It was so dense and so abrasive at times that I was glad that it was only half an hour so I could spin it again and not quite get as cut up each time. So for me, that is a high recommendation. It's a little bit over an 80 for me, I think, because all the pieces kind of came together. They really didn't offend me with any of their choices. There wasn't any sense of amateurism or just poor choices made along the way. What I would do in the future is probably uh, maybe instill a little bit more of a break in between and show a something that is less so tied to the maniac waves of a certain era of Gorguts and lean into what is unique about this record, which I think will become pretty obvious once you've spun through it a couple of times. So give that a listen this Friday and check out my review for more of my thoughts in depth.